got to fight this guy. Oh, you got injured in camp. You lose to that guy too. Now you're set back when you could have been a champion.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like weirdness going on with possibilities and, you know, just luck, bad luck, and good luck.
Bad luck and good luck.
And then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being a bull.
How is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
Joe Rogan sharply criticized Jake Paul for pursuing a fight against Gervonta Davis despite the significant size difference between them. He emphasized that weight classes are designed to protect fighters and ensure fair competition, warning that ignoring these boundaries introduces serious danger. Rogan argued that Jake Paul seems more interested in promoting the spectacle than upholding the sport's integrity, expressing concern that Jake's larger build and power could pose genuine risks to Gervonta "Tank" Davis, making the fight both unsafe and unjustified.
But no time limit within the weight class.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be that'd be pretty wild.
Yeah, that'd be pretty
Because
crazy.
you know, like two guys are facing off each other, like, and they know, like, there's no rescue every 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you go into it knowing you're either getting knocked down or submitted, or you're doing that to the other person.
Michael Bisping voiced strong criticism of Jake Paul's decision to fight Gervonta Davis despite the extreme weight disparity between them. He highlighted that Jake is set to face an opponent nearly 100 pounds lighter, which disrupts the fundamental balance of boxing. Bisping noted that Jake's previous matchup with 58-year-old, long-retired Mike Tyson was already controversial, and now this planned fight with Gervonta "Tank" Davis further undermines the sport's integrity. According to Bisping, boxing thrives on fairness and equal competition, but this bout appears heavily skewed in Jake's favor, suggesting it's more about personal gain and spectacle than genuine sporting challenge, while also endangering Tank's safety.
One thing, that's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real. You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word: whoa, 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 stop being such a bully. Leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta "Tank" Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. 58 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers.
Teddy Atlas reacted to the face-off between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis by emphasizing the massive size difference between the two. He joked that Gervonta "Tank" Davis is so much smaller than Jake that he would practically need a ladder to reach Jake's chin. Atlas acknowledged that variations in skill and style are normal in boxing, but he argued that this particular size gap is far beyond acceptable limits. He added that Tank's physical disadvantage would prevent him from landing clean shots effectively, making the fight look completely mismatched from the very beginning.
Right? They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract, but I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, all kidding aside, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but you know, a little different. The size difference was, I mean, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think. And I'm gonna ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm gonna ask him because I know he's an expert in this area. But it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, AKA Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips.
Joe Rogan argued that Jake Paul's recent actions are driven more by promotion than genuine competition. He explained that such fights are carefully designed to attract casual fans and spark curiosity through unusual matchups rather than fair contests. According to Rogan, the heavy focus on betting odds and flashy spectacles surrounding these events is less about true sporting value and more about generating attention. He believes Jake Paul fully understands how to keep himself in the public eye, using boxing as a marketing tool to maintain relevance, even when the fights themselves lack legitimate competitive purpose.
That's a problem. That makes it a problem. My opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love
That
everybody.
had nothing to do with them. That was Jake Paul promoting it. You know, it's just like,
but
doesn't bother me.
there's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
If I bet on it, it bothers
watching
the
it
fuck
is
out
hard.
of me.
Watching it with
Yeah.
people who are so in on it, and then also like. Man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia. So it's like they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you
parasocial
in.
thing.
They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in any way they can.
Reports suggest that Gervonta "Tank" Davis plans to retire after his upcoming fight with Jake Paul, with insiders indicating that the decision is driven more by financial security than by a desire to enhance his legacy or chase more titles. Observers believe Tank's motivation for accepting the bout stems largely from the massive payday it guarantees rather than from competitive ambition. Analysts also highlight that Tank has faced immense personal and professional pressures recently, which may have influenced his choice to pursue a high-profile but unconventional matchup. Viewed through this lens, the Jake Paul fight appears to be a calculated business move aimed at maximizing his earnings and ensuring long-term financial stability before stepping away from the sport.
Like, let's go band for band on what you make. Again, there's nothing wrong with Tank going to get his money, but let's all be clear that that's all the fight is for Tank. He's telling you without telling you that he's fighting Jake just because he's getting $40 million. So when we talk about boxing being dead, Tank has to line up at the front of the line. I can't blame him, but don't throw around, oh, boxing's dead and people switch sides and all of that. You chose not to be great. That's it. You chose not to be great. Stuff like that, choices like that will kill boxing. For sure. On a competitive level, it won't kill it on a business level. On a business level, until people run out of interest in these kind of matchups, it'll do well. On a competitive level, choosing not to fight the best will kill the sport. So maybe it's better if people like Tank aren't in the sport. And I don't even say that because I want that to be the case. I think Tank is ridiculously talented, but you can't want a fighter to fight more than what they want to. You can't. Tank fans or Tank people that like Tank and think he's one of the best, you can't want it for him. And then Shakur came back with, that's how I know you soft. I can't even go back and forth with you, soft ass. You rather pop to me on social media than get in that fire and get embarrassed. I get it. Peace and blessings upon you, cuz. He says, the people got your chest out so bad. You talking like you a killer, forgetting that you the one that runs, bitch. I'll be bring the fight to you. This dude, a made-up character. Quote, blessings upon you. Clown-ass dude, wanna be Kevin Gates. Oh my goodness. I mean, here's the thing though. You can't say that stuff about Shakur if you're not willing to fight him. This is the point I think that we're going to come to today, is that Tank can say all this stuff he wants, but if you're not willing to fight Shakur, then none of it means anything anymore. Even if you believe that Tank is going to knock him out, even if you believe that Shakur's a runner, or that he's not in the trenches, or he's not a boxer that's willing to bring the fight, or whatever, none of it matters. You're talking from the side.
Daniel Cormier expressed disbelief over how the fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis was organized, calling the entire setup flawed from the start. He recalled the press conference where Gervonta "Tank" Davis appeared unsure about the agreed weight class, which Cormier viewed as a major red flag in a sport built around structured divisions for fairness and safety. He criticized the lack of clarity surrounding the matchup, describing it as deeply troubling, and pointed out the glaring size difference between Jake and Tank. According to Cormier, Jake Paul's physical advantage stretches beyond what should ever be allowed in boxing, making the fight both unbalanced and unsafe. He questioned how such a visibly mismatched contest received official approval and argued that it undermines the integrity of the sport. For Cormier, this fight represents a troubling shift in boxing, one that prioritizes entertainment and profit over genuine competition and fighter safety.
Jake Paul. Yesterday they had their first press conference. One of the most recognizable things is Jake Paul is huge compared to Gervonta Davis. And two, Gervonta Davis don't even know what weight they fighting, D.
Maximum weight of 195 pounds for this exhibition. The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds.
I said it was 190.
The fight is 195 pounds, Tank, as you know.
DC, I watched this, and we have our priorities way misplaced when we're talking about boxing. Like, everybody's complaining about this Ali act and all. Like, how is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just, it's, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled, but this fight should not be happening. And the press conference was embarrassing. Gervonta Davis should not have a mic in front of him. It was absolutely embarrassing watching this thing.
D, why? Why, D?
Just the fact that, like, every time when Jake Paul would say something to Gervonta Davis, he didn't know how to answer it. He was comparing himself to, like, P. Diddy at moments, and I was like, oh my God, get a mic away from this guy. This fight shouldn't be happening. And then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. Like, I thought it was 190, it was 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195. And he goes, wait, I thought it was 190.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis reflected on his career and admitted that his original goal was never to become a boxing champion. Instead, his focus was on earning enough money to escape difficult life circumstances and secure a better future. For him, boxing served as a pathway out of hardship rather than a pursuit of fame or titles. Tank explained that his true motivation has always been financial security and stability, not legendary status in the sport, a perspective that helps explain the reasoning behind his current career decisions.
And while he's fighting YouTube sensation turned professional boxer Jake Paul, who has 12 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 7 wins by way of knockout, opposed to fighting against the likes of his peers who are well accomplished and superstars in their own right for legacy fights like Shakur Stevenson, like Teofimo Lopez, like Devin Haney. Why he's not interested in those fights. And he gets real, right? He gets real, and only thing we could do is salute it, right? Because he's saying, I never told y'all I wanted to be a world champion. I never told y'all I wanted to be undisputed. I got into this for myself and my circumstances to escape from my circumstances. And that's real. We can't blame him for that. We hold him in high regard because the statements he's made and misled people when he said he got a hit list that he wants to check off before he retires, and that hit list includes Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Lomachenko, who turned down the fight because of a severe back injury. And then he told the world, he told Champside, it would be great for him to become undisputed. So I think that he had a change of heart at some point in time along the way, right?
Showbiz The Adult acknowledged Jake Paul for using his platform to draw massive attention to boxing and for creating promotional strategies that captivate casual fans. He praised Jake's undeniable ability to attract viewers and generate widespread discussion, noting that many in the sport recognize how Jake has expanded boxing's marketing reach and audience engagement. However, Showbiz also highlighted the criticism Jake continues to face regarding his choice of opponents, pointing out that many boxing enthusiasts believe he repeatedly selects fighters who are undersized, past their prime, or not naturally competitive at his level, which raises questions about the legitimacy of his matchups.
Boxing is going to sing his praises like a hero. Though Jake Paul is definitely appreciated by the boxing world when it comes to what he is giving to the sport, especially women's boxing, okay? I mean, it goes without saying that Jake Paul, an MVP, has added to the sport of boxing. But Jake Paul, the fighter, people are over his shit. There's a huge amount of boxing pugilists in the boxing community who's over his shit. And if Gervonta Tank Davis stops that, if he is the one who stops this whole train, knocking out Jake Paul, he will become a boxing hero. People will then say, now get the hell out the sport. And I'm talking about from a fighter's perspective. That's what they're going to say. Now, it's not going to go on either one of their official records because
this ongoing pattern has caused frustration among those who value boxing's long-standing tradition of fair and balanced matchups. According to Showbiz The Adult, the criticism surrounding Jake Paul has sparked a broader debate about whether he is truly benefiting or damaging the sport's reputation. Showbiz suggested that if Gervonta Tank Davis were to decisively defeat Jake Paul, it could mark the end of the trend of mismatched fights. In that scenario, Tank wouldn't just earn a major victory. He would also be celebrated as a hero within boxing for defending the sport's integrity and restoring respect to legitimate competition.
Optically, visually, seeing that go viral, and I mean go viral, and Jake Paul will never hear the end of it.
We're gonna have to help you up. We're gonna have to help you up. We're gonna see about it. Help you up. You gonna.
Because Gervonta Tank Davis is not only a real boxer, he's a real boy. He's 5'5". He's a lightweight. Skills pay the bills. Let him knock out Jake Paul, give him Bambi legs, or knock him down. Gervonta Tank Davis, that moment will go viral, and he will be a far bigger, well-known boxer than he is today, and he will also be a hero. And that's the Black Fruit Sugars. That you guys don't want to admit it. Don't bull jive.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates, and I'll see you in the next one.